It is 0 hour 30, Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. An American jury has sentenced Al-Qaeda member Zakaria Moussaoui to life in prison. The 12 members of the federal jury discussed the 37-year-old Frenchman's punishment for 7 days. Government lawyers had asked for the death punishment, but lawyers for Moussaoui argued that he should be sentenced to life in prison. There were 9 men and 3 women on the jury. Criminals cannot be punished by death unless every juror agrees to the death sentence. Moussaoui is the only person in the United States to be found guilty of taking part in the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks. France and Britain have presented a resolution to the United Nations Security Council in New York. The resolution demands that Iran end its uranium enrichment program, but it does not threaten economic restrictions. The resolution is also supported by the United States. China and Russia have threatened to veto any UN resolution supporting economic actions or military threats against Iran. The early version of the resolution does not set a date for Iran to obey, but France's ambassador to the UN said Iran would have until early June to stop its suspected nuclear weapons activities. The resolution has the force of international law. American Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld says he expects the United States to be able to reduce the number of troops in Iraq when the new Iraqi government takes office. Iraq's cabinet is to be appointed within the next few weeks. In other news, a bomb attack in Iraq has killed at least 15 people. At least 20 people were seriously wounded in the attack. In Baghdad, officials found the bodies of 14 people killed by gunshots. 20 other bodies were discovered late Tuesday. Also in Iraq, the British military says a bomb killed an American civilian near Nasiriyah. A committee of the United States government has added Afghanistan to its list of countries that should be watched for violations of religious freedom. The Commission on International Religious Freedom released its yearly report Wednesday. It said 11 countries should be of special concern to the American State Department. Those countries are China, North Korea, Vietnam, Burma, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Iran, Eritrea, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. 7 countries were placed on a list to be watched. That list includes Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Belarus, Cuba, Egypt, Indonesia, and Nigeria. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. The European Union says it is very concerned about reports that the Burmese army has increased attacks on the ethnic Karen minority. A statement from the office of the EU President called on both sides to honor international humanitarian law and to begin peace talks. Recently, Thai officials said that at least 1,800 ethnic Karen entered Thailand to escape attacks by Burma's military government. The Indian Prime Minister and moderate separatist leaders from Kashmir have reached an agreement. They decided to set up a system for discussing the dispute about Kashmir. The agreement came in talks between Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and leaders of the All Parties Hurriyat Conference. The conference is an alliance of moderate separatist groups. Hurriyat leader Mirwais Umar Farooq said the sides will develop a way to talk about how to gain a peaceful and lasting settlement. Hours before the meeting, 3 militants and 3 soldiers died in a gun battle between troops and Kashmiri militants. Indian and Pakistani officials say their countries have agreed to start 2 new transportation services across Kashmir. The agreement was reached after 2 days of talks in New Delhi. A new bus service is to start in June. A new truck service is expected to begin in July. Officials have canceled a warning of huge ocean waves for much of the South Pacific. 2 hours earlier, experts had warned of a possible tsunami after a powerful earthquake struck near the Tonga Islands. American government scientists say only small waves were measured in Pago Pago and the Niue Islands. Those areas were closest to the center of the earthquake. The Sudanese government is studying a new version of the Darfur peace proposal at talks in Nigeria. Sudanese diplomats say they hope that the changes will lead to an agreement. Top American and British diplomats proposed changes to an early version of the peace proposal after Darfur rebels rejected it. The new agreement is expected to give details of when and how the Janjaweed fighters will be disarmed. It is also expected to detail how rebel forces will be included in Sudan's military. The election for President of Chad has ended. President Idriss Déby is expected to defeat 4 other candidates to win a 3rd term. Many people apparently boycotted the election at the urging of the political opposition. Many people and organizations had urged the president to delay the vote. The presidents of Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and Venezuela are meeting Thursday to discuss the nationalization of Bolivia's oil and gas industry. The 4 leaders will meet in Argentina. Earlier this week, Bolivian President Evo Morales ordered foreign energy companies to either sign new operating agreements or leave the country. He also ordered them to turn over most production control to Bolivia's nationally owned oil company called YPFB. Spain plans to send a delegation to Bolivia to discuss the issue. But the Spanish Prime Minister has said the nationalization of Bolivian oil and gas would not affect aid to Bolivia. Briefly, here again is the major news. An American jury has sentenced Al-Qaeda member Zakaria Moussaoui to life in prison. France and Britain have presented a resolution on Iran to the UN Security Council. And American Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld says he expects the United States to be able to reduce troops in Iraq when the new Iraqi cabinet is named. And that's the news in VOA Special English. This is Jim Tedder reporting.